This week, there was reports that two adults suffered cardiac arrest after consuming excess amounts of energy drinks. So let's talk about the health implications of energy drinks. There's two big problems, I guess, I see here. One is the sugar content of them. Okay, so the sugar can be nothing, so it can contain no added sugars, but instead of sugar, it can contain lots of artificial sweeteners. When it does contain sugar, it can contain as much as 14 teaspoons in a serving. Think how hard it would be to eat 14 teaspoons of sugar off a spoon, and think how easy it is to drink it down. I suppose the sugar is more relevant in the long term. Yes, high levels of sugar can really affect our energy levels, but in the long term, it can significantly increase your risk of heart disease and dying from heart disease. When it comes to the caffeine, I suppose there's a couple of things going on here. One is that some contain very little caffeine and some contain lots of caffeine. So for example, some energy drinks would contain as much as the caffeine content of 3 espressos in a drink. Some people have a very low tolerance to caffeine. In fact, they take a little bit and it makes them jittery or anxious, really upsets their gut. They struggle to concentrate. It can raise heart rate. It can raise blood pressure. Some people as well take ages to rid caffeine from their body. So caffeine has about a half-life of about 5 hours. What that means is if I consume an energy drink now, in 5 hours time, it's half gone from my system, that caffeine. 10 hours time, okay, it is still a quarter left. 15 hours time, there's still an eighth left in my system. So in other words, it takes ages to leave. Some people though take even longer to rid caffeine from their system. So instead of a half-life being 5 hours, it could be up to 10 hours. All right, so the range is usually 2 hours to 10 hours. So that's how long it takes for it to be half gone. So again, if the average half-life is 5 hours, I drink an energy drink, 5 hours after drinking it, it's still half there. 10 hours after drinking, it's still a quarter there. 15 hours after drinking, it's still an eighth there. 20 hours after drinking, it's still a 16th there. So it takes ages to rid caffeine in the body. Why is that relevant? Well, I suppose it matters how much coffee or caffeine or energy drinks you're consuming across the day. But it also can have a significant impact on other functions and important parts of health, such as sleep. We know that because it has a different impact in everyone, it can have a different impact on someone's sleep. So for example, some people, when there's caffeine floating around in the system, they struggle to go off to sleep. For some people, when there's caffeine in the system, they struggle to go into deep sleep. And for some people, it is both of those things. So we know that caffeine can have a significant impact on someone's sleep. Why is that a problem in younger people especially? Well, sleep is really important for growth. Okay, so it's really important for growth and repair of the body. These young people are very much still growing and developing. The other thing is that sleep is so important for memory, consolidation of memory. So again, they're going to, let's just say, school, they're trying to learn as much as possible, and then they're trying to wake up the next day remembering what they learned the day before. So sleep is really important for memory and consolidation of memory, and therefore school education and performance. When it comes to energy drinks, I suppose a big concern is, I know it's rare that people will suffer cardiac arrest as a result of drinking excess amounts of energy drinks, but it can still happen. And you could argue, okay, but what about the caffeine in coffee, Orla? A teenager can go into a coffee shop and buy several cups of coffee. Yes, but these energy drinks are created to be hyper palatable. In other words, that they taste good and encourage consumption. So it's easier to overconsume caffeine drinking these than it would be with coffee. The other thing is, you have to remember, is the variable amount of sugar and caffeine in them. They're not standardized. So we need to look at maybe standardizing them and controlling who can purchase them. Because although fatalities from excess consumption of energy drinks is rare, it can still happen, and it happening once is one time too many. When it comes to energy drinks, they rarely have a place in a person's diet and lifestyle. They never have a place in children or teenagers' lives. And I suppose that's the most important thing to remember here. Okay, they have no place in the life of a child. On the caffeine considerations, there's a couple of other things I want to add. So caffeine is still found in fizzy drinks like colas. And although parents might be mindful of the caffeine content of energy drinks and therefore not giving them to children, they might not associate colas with having caffeine, and therefore you can actually walk down the street and see children super young drinking these caffeinated drinks. So that's one thing to be somewhat conscious of. So when it comes to caffeine, remember it is a drug and we need to be careful of who can have it, who can access it. When it comes to energy drinks, we need to consider standardizing what they contain and also limiting who can purchase them. Education is a big piece because after all, these reports of people suffering cardiac arrest because of excess consumption of energy drinks, these people were in their 20s. So I suppose education for us all of all age groups is incredibly important. So I hope you've learned a little bit through this video, and I know there's more on this topic that I could be talking about, but I just wanted to get some of the basics across.